list, and in this one we are going to be ranking every single Call of Duty Zombies map, uh, all included. We're going to be starting off with Treyarch, oldest to most recent, and then we'll do Infinity Ward, oldest to most recent, and then Sledgehammer, oldest to most recent. And yeah, so my tiers are God tier, good, decent, okay, and bad. Obviously, it's very straightforward. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, and we will start off with the classic, the one, the only, Nocturne Toten. I'm gonna put Nocturne Toten in decent. I can't put Nocturne Toten in okay or bad. It's too nostalgic. That's the thing about World at War maps, is they're not going to be great. Obviously they were released. This is the first ever map that we ever had released for Call of Duty Zombies, ever, and it's been remade in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3. And obviously, I prefer the Black Ops 1 version the most out of all three of them. I'd rather play Black Ops 1's version, but it introduced us to zombies. It brought us, things like the mystery box, and the ray gun was the first ever wonder weapon, and it brought us into, learning how to fight the zombies, and really, it just, people weren't mainly focused on camping and trending yet, not too much as of more learning just the survivalness of it, and how to, get into zombies. So that's why I like Nocturne Toten. I can't put it lower, but I can't exactly put it higher in my opinion. So next up we have Verroct, which is another decent map. I'm gonna put it right above Verroct or Nocturne Toten. Verroct is a really interesting map. It takes place in an abandoned asylum, where the zombie apocalypse of Call of Duty Zombies continues. And in this one, you are introduced to power and the four classic perks: Juggernog, Speed Cola, Double Tap, and Quick Revive. Quick Revive in World at War obviously didn't actually revive you like it does in every other game afterwards, but it did help you revive people faster for co-op like it does in every other game when you're playing co-op. And I think Verroct is a very interesting map. I remember the lore and all these theories and Easter eggs. All the Easter eggs were really cool, and put it into Verroct, which led to some lore about Verroct and a lot of really cool theories that came upon it, and even a little bit of a backstory people had uncovered about this insane asylum. And even the story. Like, when it comes to zombies, I'm going to say this right now, that I play for both the story and the gameplay. Some maps, I just play for the gameplay and don't really necessarily care about the story. Story can be god awful, but if I enjoy the gameplay, I'll enjoy the zombies map itself. Some of the maps I go for story, but I'm really only in it for the gameplay. Easter egg wise, yeah, some of the Easter egg stories are really cool, but other than that, there's really not much else for all these maps. So Verroct goes into decent spread above Nocturne Toten. Next up, we have Shino Numa, which I'm gonna put in decent as well. Shino Numa introduced us to more traps, where we were introduced to electric traps. In Verroct, we were introduced to traps such as the Flogger. We had you're able to zipline in this one, and you were introduced to the Wonder Waff DG2 Wonder Weapon. One of the greatest classic Wonder Weapons ever that we didn't see reappear until Black Ops 3. It made an appearance in Call of Duty Black Ops 1, if you did the Easter egg for Call of the Dead. It also made an appearance in all the World at War maps, obviously, that were remade into Black Ops 1. And we were introduced to the Wonder Waff once again in Black Ops 3. It's not as great as it used to be. There was a lot of glitches in the World at War for the World at War Wonder Waff, in which if you shot yourself, you would get rid of your Juggernog. And that was mainly in Deris, but again, my favorite way to play the World at War maps is typically Black Ops 1. I'll even jump on it just for the glitchy fun of World at War's classic versions of each and every one of them. And so yeah, Shino Numa goes top of decent. Next up, we have Deris, which I'm going to put in good. I actually don't have the Giant as separate because they're all the same game. The only really big difference is story, which I'm not going to dive into. I'm going to dive into the gameplay factors. My favorite version of Deris is, again, Black Ops's. But I do love the World at War variation, the original World at War Deris, with the PPSH, the glitchy Wonder Waff jug glitch, all that fun stuff. We were introduced to Pack-a-Punch in this map. This map brought us Pack-a-Punch and teleporters. You had to link every teleporter to the mainframe, and you would unlock Pack-a-Punch, and it was a new way for people to be able to survive for higher rounds without having to rely on just one of the weapons and a decent gun. Now you have Pack-a-Punch, which upgraded your weapon, and it's been in every game pretty much since Deris. So, next up, we have Kino Der Toten, which I'm gonna put... I'm gonna have to put it in decent. It's Kino Der Toten, very good map. Very nostalgic to play Black Ops 1. It was the very first zombies map I ever experienced. So, it's decent. It doesn't really belong in good. Some people call it the number one Call of Duty Zombies map. I mean, fair, I guess, in your opinion. And your opinion is your opinion. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest zombies map of all time, but some people do. Kino Der Toten introduced us to the Thundergun Wonder Weapon. It also introduced us to new bosses. So originally we had dogs, which were introduced back in Shino Numa, and we had the dogs return in Deris. Kino Der Toten brought us the Nova Crawlers, pain in the ass enemies, but it was cool to see all these different bosses come into Black Ops 1. They weren't impossible like Easter eggs, super bosses, like we see in Black Ops 3, for example, and games from there. But we did get some pretty interesting new zombies and a new interesting storyline for Kino Der Toten, which originally this map was actually supposed to be the 4th DLC for World at War, but they canceled it and made it into Black Ops 1, which I think was a very good choice for them, to be honest. So next up, we have 5. I'm going to put 5 in good. I enjoy 5. 5 is a very difficult map. It's as difficult as Verroct. Those are the two most difficult classic Call of Duty Zombies maps. And I feel like 5 gets hated on so much just because of how difficult it is. And like, I guess story purposes, it doesn't really affect the storyline, but I love the gameplay of 5. I love the challenge. I love a good Call of Duty Zombies challenge. And, I mean, me personally, I've never made it to, like, past round 20 on 5. I'm getting there, but I'm not the greatest at 5. It's a really difficult map compared to every other map, and it's very unique. You play in this game as characters such as JFK, Castro, McNamara, and Nixon, and you hop in, and you got, you know, the Pentagon is under attack by zombies, and you have to survive from the Pentagon. You got the Pentagon Thief, who's a pain in the ass. If you manage to kill him before he steals a weapon of yours, you get a bonfire sale, which gives you Pack-a-Punch for cheaper than 5,000. I think it's 2,500, but it could be 1,500 as well. I can't quite remember how much Pack is in 5, but if you don't kill, if the Pentagon Thief only steals one of your weapons, I think he drops a power-up, and if he steals your weapons, you don't really get anything because you can't kill him. But 5 is a good map. It's not deserving of okay or bad. I mean, it could be indecent, but I had to put it in good just because I really enjoy the map in general, so I had to put it where it is, and that is where it stands. Alright, so next up, we have Ascension, the first strike of Call of Duty Black Ops 1 for DLCs. I'm going to put it in good. Right in between Deris and 5, Ascension is one of my favorite maps. Excluding the monkeys, this map is really easy. And for Black Ops 3, for example, I've played it a lot. I just played it recently on the channel earlier today. We streamed it, and then we went on to play Kino Der Toten. I farm liquid videos in Ascension just because of how easy it is. The challenge is the monkeys and choosing your perks and what you want to choose for perks. If you're in co-op, depending on how many people you have, you can defend multiple perks as long as you know how to shoot the monkeys. In solo, you can have up to 2 perks, in the Black Ops 1 version at least. In the Black Ops 3 version, I highly suggest just hitting the Wonder Fist machine and getting perks from there. But hey, you play it the way you want to play it. Ascension drove us into introducing us to the QED, introduced us to the QED itself is a very good one-weapon specialist equipment thing, in which it creates a black hole which sucks all the zombies in the area into it, and then it kills them. And I love the QED. It also introduced us more into the story aspects of, you know, Call of Duty Black Ops, where we really got into a good story in the Black Ops series, in the Black Ops maps, compared to what we got in World at War, which wasn't really much of anything. It was just people making up what they knew from the game and putting it into a perspective of the story. I'm just looking for Call of the Dead right now. I'm not seeing it. Where's Call of the Dead? I know it's on here. Where is? Oh, there's Call of the Dead. I would have put Call of the Dead in good. Call of the Dead is a really good map as well. I love pretty much every Black Ops 1 map. They all had something unique to them. The only problem I find people have when they hate on Call of the Dead is George Romero. Hands down, hardest boss you ever face in Black Ops 1. And he's one of the hardest bosses probably to this day. He keeps coming back no matter what you do every round. He's there since round 1, and if you kill him, he'll come back, but he drops Death Machine and power-ups of all sorts. In this map, you were given the Wonder Waff as a treat for completing the Easter egg. You also got all the perks, which was really interesting. Also, I wanted to add in, I forgot, Ascension added in PhD Flopper, which was a big thing for perks in Black Ops 1, and they never included it until Cold War of all games. They excluded it, they trolled us with it in Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 wasn't even heard of, Black Ops 4, and then Cold War brought back PhD Flopper finally. I feel like they should have had it in Black Ops 3 at least, if not Black Ops 2, but, I mean, I'm not Treyarch, so I can't say what goes around Treyarch, but Call of the Dead, I love the map. If we exclude George Romero, it's not the greatest map because it's foggy, but I just love it. It had very interesting wonder weapons, the VR-11 being shit, but the Scavenger is really good. A sniper wonder weapon, which we had never seen before, and it was very unique. We also were introduced to Matryoshka dolls, which were basically Matryoshka doll grenades that you just pop open, grenades fly out, and they were really interesting to use. So, next up, we have Shangri-La, which I'm going to put in decent. I'm not a big fan of Shangri-La, and to all the people out there that love Shangri-La, that is your opinion, and this is my opinion. Shangri-La is not one of my favorite maps. Story-wise, I don't really get the story in this game, but going on gameplay-wise, it's a very difficult map to stand by. I feel like in order to enjoy Shangri-La, you really need to play co-op and have 4 players. It's not really a solo game. It introduced us to new traps in Shangri-La. Very interesting traps. We were introduced to a whole new system of traps, and we were introduced BB gun weapon, which was a wonder weapon that turned the zombies into babies, basically, and you could run them over and they would die that way. And it was a very interesting wonder weapon. Again, there were some game maps that had wonder weapons that just never made an appearance again, and it would be cool to see them again, I guess. I'm not too sure about the BB gun, but it also introduces us to bosses such as the Shrieker Zombie, the Napalm Zombie, and there was another one I can't remember the name of, but very interesting, cool new zombie types that we were introduced to in this game, compared to everything else we got. So, next up we have Moon, which I'm going to put in good. Moon is a very good map. Again, I feel like it's more of a co-op map. It really depends. Black Ops 1 was very reliant on co-op. You could play Moon solo, and I honestly prefer the Black Ops 3 version over the Black Ops 1 version, but both of them are good. Moon introduced us to teleporting Nova Crawlers, which were a pain in the cock, also the Cosmonaut Zombie, and it was the end of the Black Ops timeline, and everybody thought at first that this was the end of zombies. In the Easter egg, Richtofen takes over the MPD machine, and he possesses Samantha's body, takes over the control of the zombies, and then Maxis has you launch these missiles into Earth and destroys the Earth to sever the connection of Richtofen and the MPD. Very great map. You go from Area 51, which has your Pack-a-Punch and your 2 perks that switched out Jug and Speed. Moon introduced us to these landers, the jumping pad lander things that you... I think you know what I'm talking about. And a very interesting Easter egg. The first actual Easter egg that you could do, and with only 2 players instead of 4 compared to every other Black Ops 1 map. So next up, we have Nuketown, which I'm going to put top of decent. It's a decent map. I mean, very hard map, actually. Black Ops 2's hardest map, and it's up there with 5 and Verroct. Nuketown is the map that got me better at training. I bought this map for the $5.99 that it is, and I mainly used it for the grinding of training, because I knew that this was a difficult map. Helping right into it, I learned the hard way that it was a very difficult map. And from there, I learned that in order to play Nuketown and get better at training, Nuketown was the way to go if I wanted to get better at zombies. And therefore, I did so, again, by playing Nuketown. And it's a decent map. I can't say it's god tier good, in my personal opinion. It's got no bosses. You have to wait every 5 rounds or so, 5 or 6 rounds, and sometimes longer than that, just to get every perk in the map. And Pack-a-Punch, by the way. You get one in the first couple rounds, and then you have to wait every 5 or 6 rounds after that to get each and every perk. So you're sitting there, like, round 20, 25 with, decent perks, and you're without one of them, at least. Pack-a-Punch, Juggernog. I mean, you could get Juggernog right away, and then you won't get Pack-a-Punch until, like, around 25, or vice versa. So it's kind of a pain in the ass the way that they set it up. Cool, I guess, but, kind of a pain in the dick. So next up, we have Transit. Goes in bad. It's garbage. Everybody hates Transit. The problem with Transit is, as everybody knows, Treyarch, Jimmy Zielinski, tried to make an open-world zombies map, but the Xbox 360 and PS3 were not built to be compatible with such an open-world map, so they had to make it into what we know as Transit today, and there have been really cool custom map variants of this map, which is all awesome. And we were introduced to 4 new characters: Stuhlinger, Russman, Marlton, and Misty, who are fairly interesting characters, but compared to the original 4, we weren't really expecting it. It takes place on the destroyed Earth after the missiles were fired from the moon. And actually in Nuketown, the Easter egg is that Richtofen has taken over the zombies, and then at the end of the game, you see one of the missiles firing and landing in Nevada. In Transit, we are now in the world that has been destroyed, and you're struggling to survive each round. Very easy map if you actually can get past all the bullshit glitches, but at the end of the day, Transit is garbage. So next up, we have Die Rise. It's even worse than Transit. Very cool background. I mean, it's a very cool area that we're in. We're in China, and it's a very beautiful map, but the parkour is a pain in the ass. And it's a really super easy map once it gets set up. If you could deal with the elevators that bring down the perks and the Pack-a-Punch, and you can deal with all that and figure it all out. Also, the key you can only use once. I feel like you should be, as everybody has said, I'm sure many people have said it before, the key should have been able to use multiple times, not just once on one elevator to get what perk you need. That and Die Rise, once you do get set up on Die Rise, it's really easy. You build your Solidifier, you get the perks you want, you eventually find Pack-a-Punch your weapons, and you sit there with the Solidifier and you just go. Obviously, even the pre-patch Solidifier was obviously a lot more OP, and it's a weapon I wish that they would bring back into zombies, and they never really have. Next up, we have Mob of the Dead. I literally just saw it. Where's Mob of the Dead? Here it is. Gotta put Mob of the Dead. God tier. Everybody loves Mob of the Dead. Forget Black Ops 4's remake of it. Mob of the Dead is a fan favorite. It introduces us to 4 new characters and a whole other story, without Richtofen and all of them. And it's an amazing game. It's got a really cool Easter egg. Pretty challenging when it comes to buildables. Transit stacked us up and introduced us to buildables with the turbine and building the power and stuff like that. And so the Die Rise, Mob of the Dead really stepped up the buildables with being able to build a plane to get the Golden Gate Bridge to activate Pack-a-Punch, and it could progress throughout the Easter egg, and you had to build the Wonder Weapon, the Blundergat, which turns into the acid, which you can upgrade into the Acid Gat, and you can upgrade into the Magma Gat, I do believe it is, or is that in Blood of the Dead? I can't even remember. Oh no, the Vitrolic Ring if you Pack-a-Punch it, and then the other one if you Pack-a-Punch the Acid Gat. I can't quite remember, but Yeah, Mob of the Dead brought us into a new boss, Brutus, and he's not that difficult to take out. He dismembers your perks and buildable tables, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but really easy to do with if you know what you're doing. So, next up we have Buried. It's okay. Buried, sadly, was introduced to the wrong game, I believe. If Buried was maybe in a different game, I feel like it would be loved a lot more. But like Transit and Die Rise and Buried, Transit and Die Rise, it's a really simple game full of glitches, and it's really easy. You get yourself the Paralyzer, you get yourself the can't remember the name of the buildable, but you literally camp in front of Pack-a-Punch, and that's it. You get whatever weapons you need. You go or Juggernog I meant, and you go into the maze. You deal with the bitches. You stay in Pack-a-Punch. You save up, and you go back to where you were. Go to Jug and figure shit out. They introduced us to Leroy, who unlocked the areas and had to unlock everything, which was kind of a pain in the dick. But next up, we have Origins, which is right here. Another god tier map. When this map came out, everybody was rocking Easter egg. To this day, even in Black Ops 3's life cycle, people were grinding Origins, and then it was brought back to Zombies Chronicles, and everybody came back to play it. And everybody loves Origins. Origins introduced us to the Primus characters, and they come in and were brought back to the original four, but as Primus characters brought back. And it's a really great Easter egg, very challenging. You have to build the staffs, upgrade the staffs, all the Easter egg steps that we all know and love, and the staffs are overpowered, depending on which staff you use, obviously. Each staff is overpowered, depending on how you use it. If you use it right, it'll be a very overpowered weapon, and you will be able to use it to your advantage like it's nothing. And Origins was a very iconic map for Black Ops 2. It's really what shifted everybody into enjoying Black Ops 2. Mob of the Dead brought us that, and then when Origins came out, everybody was on Black Ops 2 Zombies. So that is why it belongs in the spot that it's at. So next up, we have Shadows of Evil. I gotta put it top of good. Very top of good. Shadows of Evil, Black Ops 3's first ever Zombies map, and it's really underrated compared to every other Black Ops 3 map, but I enjoy Shadows of Evil. It is a very interesting map. Again, 4 new characters that we never see again outside of this map, but they're not all as interesting as, say, Mob of the Dead's characters, but they do have a very interesting story. They're brought in and introduced to the Shadow Man, thus the name Shadows of Evil, and you have all these rituals for the Easter egg, and you can unlock Pack-a-Punch, but you basically, Black Ops 3 introduced us to doing the Easter egg in order to progress throughout the game. You weren't forced to do so, but if you wanted Pack-a-Punch, you were doing Easter egg steps in order to get Pack-a-Punch. And therefore it made it interesting. Very cool Easter egg where you fight the Shadow Man at the very end of the Easter egg. You gotta do the upgrading of the flags and the rituals and all this stuff, and then eventually you were brought into the first ever boss fight against the Shadow Man. And it is a very epic boss fight that you get to do, and it's a little bit challenging for people when they first started playing this map. It was very challenging to do at first, I'm sure, to everybody that ever tried to play this map, and therefore, I gotta put it in good. So next up, we have Deris and Drac. I gotta put it God tier. Deris and Drac is my favorite Black Ops 3 Zombies map. Out of the 4 that we got in Black Ops 3 for, unique to Black Ops 3, Deris and Drac is my favorite. All the other ones are actually really good, in my opinion. Black Ops 3 has 4 really good maps, just some of them weren't received as well as every other map, and some of them are overrated compared to others. Origins was a great map, and Deris and Drac basically brings back the feel of Origins with these bows that you can collect. You build the bow, and it's part of the Easter egg as well. Like I said, Black Ops 3 introduced us to do the Easter egg steps in order to progress and get better at the map. You don't even have to get the bows in Deris and Drac to have a good time, but from a story standpoint, it's really good. It's got another boss fight, which is even more challenging than the Shadow Man, in which you fight the Corrupted Keeper. Really, really challenging boss fight that you're introduced to. and you use the bows to take him out. And fairly challenging. And you also shoot down tank, and it is revealed Richtofen's grand scheme to use the summoning key to collect all the souls from every single one of the original 4 characters that we are now crossing paths with in order to save the universe from the zombie apocalypse. Next up, we have Zetsubou no Shima. I'm going to put this one in decent. Zetsubou no Shima is really an underrated Call of Duty Zombies map. It is not my favorite, and I can't put it in good, and I can't put it in God tier, but I can't put it as low as okay and bad. Zetsubou no Shima is a very decent map. Getting past all the original glitches that were in the map, these were taken out and actually having a good time playing it. Not that long ago, I was playing co-op with a few buddies of mine online, and I kind of enjoyed it. You were introduced to the KT4, which was the Black Ops 3 version of this Liquefier, people were saying, but just not as good. The KT4 really isn't all that great of a weapon. It is a buildable weapon, as per most of the zombies' weapons were in Black Ops 3, and it's decent for what it is, but it's not this Liquefier by any means necessary. So it's kind of dogged on Zetsubou no Shima as a whole, but I think it's underrated compared to what it should be. Next up, we have Gorod Krovi. I gotta put it in God tier, right after Origins, to be honest. Gorod Krovi, very amazing map. I love Gorod Krovi. The Easter egg, just the gameplay in general, trying to go for high rounds, all the challenges that were introduced to this map that also help you progress through the Easter egg. Very interesting, very cool bosses that we were introduced to, such as the Mangler. Where in Shadows of Evil, we got the Margro for the first time, and the Shadow Man. The Rise of Drac introduced us to just dogs, and the Corrupted Keeper. Zetsubou no Shima introduced us to Thrashers, and Gorod Krovi bought us Manglers, and these droid things I can't remember the name of. The Valkyries, and the dragon itself that you can actually end up taming and riding on in order to get to other areas and to get the Pack-a-Punch. And it's just crazy Gorod Krovi. But it is an amazing map. Brought us back the PPSH, which we hadn't seen since World at War. Gorod Krovi brought back. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's not the World at War PPSH, but just to see it back in Call of Duty Zombies was amazing. So, next up, we have one of the most underrated maps to date. A lot of people love it, and a lot of people hate it. But I gotta take Revelations, and I gotta put it on top of decent. Revelations is very underrated. To what everybody expected was going to be this really cool ending map to Zombies, and everybody was thrilled to play it at first. But looking back at Revelations, it wasn't as great as we had expected. We were overhyped for Revelations, and when it came out, it didn't reach the expectations we had expected. Revelations reintroduced us to another Shadow Man boss fight at the end of the Easter egg. However, compared to Shadows of Evil's Shadow Man boss fights, it wasn't much of anything. And the story includes Max's killing himself along with, can't remember her name, but Maxis kills himself by flying the summoning key into the sun and destroying it and himself, and this chick that was a computer that I can't remember her goddamn name. But really interesting Easter egg. It just wasn't what we expected, and I'm not a big fan of Revelations myself. It's kind of more of a co-op feeling map than it is solo, in my opinion. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that is my personal opinion on Revelations. It's just underrated compared to every other map. We had high expectations, like we said, to a very good ending Origins type Black Ops 3 Zombies map, and it's just not what we got. And compared to the other 3 maps that we've already discussed, it's just got nothing on them. So next up, we have Voyage of Despair from Call of Duty Black Ops 4. It's garbage. I was not a big fan of Black Ops 4 Zombies, so a lot of the maps won't land good or god tier. Voyage of Despair, the Easter egg is stupid. It's pointless. Black Ops 4 took out Juggernog and introduced us to all these new perks and these different gobblegums, and it was really crazy, and these new characters in the Chaos story compared to the Ether story that I just wasn't interested in. Personally, I wasn't really interested in any of the new characters at all. Voyage Despair, I'm sorry for the Chaos crew, but you're not one of my favorites. Next up, we have Classified from Call of Duty Black Ops 4, the reimagined version of 5, and it's garbage. I've played it all of a couple times, Classified, and I'd rather just play 5. I'd rather just be in the Pentagon in Black Ops 1 and play 5 than play Classified. It's just 5, but with the original Victus crew, and I just can't. I'd rather just play the actual 5. And the Easter egg is getting to round 100, and I don't know if it's even been done legitimately without mods. I mean, I could be wrong. It could have been done, but it's just not 5, and that's the issue with it. And there's a lot of other stupid things in it, but so next up we have Blood of the Dead. This one's also garbage. Mob of the Dead remake for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, when everybody wanted all these maps brought back in Chronicles, and they weren't brought back, so they created Blood of the Dead and Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And it did not reach the expectations. It is the premise crew in Mob of the Dead, and compared to what we got in Mob of the Dead in the first place, it's garbage. I can't even try to say anything good about this map. I hate it compared to Mob of the Dead. I guess it's a really difficult Easter egg, and nobody's doing high rounds for it, or any really world records for it, but I am not a fan. So next up, we have 9. 9 was not a bad map. It's just the way that it was received. In Black Ops 4 in general, I feel like if 9 was in any other zombies game, literally any other Call of Duty, I feel like 9 would have made it. But it has the issue of being released in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. And it's got really interesting, for the Chaos story, it was very interesting Easter egg and all this stuff that we were introduced to. However, it's got Black Ops 4's game mechanics. Maybe if it was in Cold War, it would even be better, I think. If it was in Black Ops 3 or even Cold War, I feel like it would be much better, but when it's released under, Black Ops 4, that kind of caused issues. So, next up, we have Dead of the Night, which I'm going to put in okay as well. I like the theme of Dead of the Night, and I like where the story was going, but again, it's Chaos's timeline, and again, falls under Black Ops 4's mechanics. If this map was in Black Ops 3 or Cold War or any future game, I'm sure that it would have been received a lot better, but I'm going to put it in an okay, because Dead of the Night had a really cool Easter egg with a really cool boss, the werewolf, and it was very different for Call of Duty Zombies in general. It's just that nobody enjoyed it compared to every other map, because Black Ops 4 got dogged on hard. RIP. Next up, we have Alpha Omega, which I am going to put in bad. Remake of Nuketown. I don't even know who's playing it in 2022. Shout out to all my Black Ops 4 lovers. I am just not one of them. I really cannot vouch for this map at all. It's just garbage. All these remakes, they could have been great if Black Ops 4 just wasn't the game it sadly was, which leads me next to Ancient Evil, which isn't any better. This one is a Greek-themed zombies map. And again, it goes for the same for all the Black Ops 4 maps. They weren't received well because they were Black Ops 4 maps. And that is just the sad, sad reality of Black Ops 4 Zombies. Just everything felt so... We were all so hyped for Black Ops 4, and then it came out, and our expectations fell. Hit the ground hard. Next up, we have Kino Der Toten. Again, sadly, it falls in the category of bad. remake of Call of the Dead with all these Wonder WoW variants, and it was crazy. I guess it's the most interesting zombies map, but I'd rather, again, play Call of the Dead compared to Tog Der Toten. I mean, it ended off the Easter egg without even a cinematic cutscene. Instead, we got this comic-themed cutscene like we got in Die Rise Buried, and it kills off all of the original crew and the premise crew. So, I mean, rip. So, next up, we have D Machine from Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And I'm going to put D Machine up here in good. I really enjoyed a lot of the Black Ops Cold War Zombies maps. Compared to what we got in Black Ops 4, I didn't play enough of Black Ops 4 Zombies. I played it enough to get my perspective of each Zombies map, and I wasn't a big fan. But D Machine, the expectations were really not that high after Black Ops 4, but D Machine, Cold War Zombies in general, just skyrocketed. Not Black Ops 3 skyrocket or anything like that, but people came back into D Machine because of how different it was, how interesting it was, and the perk systems were really cool, and all these different systems were brought into Cold War, and I really enjoyed them. They were really good in my personal opinion. Next up, we have Firebase Z, which I'm going to put in decent. It's not the greatest Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies map. It's the worst out of the 4 of them, I do believe, next to Forsaken. But compared to everything else, it was just taken differently, so differently. Firebase Z just isn't the map that we expected. It did introduce us to this new wonder weapon, which same with D Machine brought us to the D wonder weapon, where the Firebase Z brought us the RK4? I can't even remember the name of the fucking wonder weapon from Black Ops Cold War. But it was a really good wonder weapon, just this map wasn't the greatest. Next up we have Outbreak. I gotta put it top of garbage. I'm sorry, Black Ops Cold War, but Outbreak brought us what Vanguard is now, which is objective gameplay compared to round-based gameplay, which nobody enjoyed. It was decent to try it in Black Ops Cold War, but when they released it for Vanguard's main, mechanics, everybody just fell flat and disliked the hell out of it, because it kind of just takes the fun out of zombies, really. Next up, we have Voyage Der Toten, which I'm going to put in good. I love Voyage Der Toten. It's a very interesting map taking place in the campaign map in Germany, and we're introduced to Kravchenko, who is brought in from the campaign into zombies, which was really cool that they did. Like, all of Cold War has a very interesting news story leading up to this leader of the Omega Group, which turns out to be Richtofen, who is reviving all these zombies and stuff. Voyage Der Toten is one of my favorite maps from Black Ops Cold War. Compared to Firebase Z and Outbreak, it's not better than D Machine, but it was a really good Cold War map. So next up, we have Forsaken, which I gotta put in the top of decent. Forsaken, I'm sorry, Forsaken, but you weren't that great of a map either compared to the other two, which I'd rather play anyways. So, that concludes the Treyarch official tier list ranking. So now we're going to move on into Infinity Ward. And we are starting off, ladies and gentlemen, with Zombies in Spaceland, which I am going to put in good. Zombies in Spaceland is probably the best Infinite Warfare Zombies map. It's the only one I would come back to Infinite Warfare Zombies to play again and again and again. Zombies in Spaceland, it's a masterpiece. Infinity Ward brought us their own variations of perks and their own variations of gobblegums, and really their story in Zombies in Spaceland was going places up until, the other maps came out, and we were sadly brought to what we were for Zombies in Spaceland, or the Zombies in Spaceland characters, but it wasn't that bad. and Zombies in Spaceland. I gotta put it in good. It was the better one out of the 4 that we got. So next up we have Rave in the Redwoods, which I gotta put in okay. It is the worst of the okay maps. I'm sorry to Rave in the Redwoods lovers, but again, I was not a big Infinite Warfare Zombies guy other than the Spaceland. Rave in the Redwoods, again, brought us all these cool bosses, but Infinite Warfare Zombies kind of falls under the category of Black Ops 4, where the maps really weren't that good. So next up, we have Shaolin Shuffle, which I gotta find it again. Here it is, Shaolin Shuffle, which I'm gonna put in okay. It's not worse than Rave in the Redwoods, but it ain't perfect. It brought us this really interesting Easter egg with these really cool kung fu abilities. Really challenging Easter egg, but at the end of the day, again, Infinite Warfare Zombies was kind of dogged on a lot, so I gotta be one of them and do the same, sadly. So next up, we have Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Again, it is a garbage map. Poor Attack of the Mutant Thing, but, you know, I can't say that it's worse than Outbreak and Voyage Despair, but it's not up there with any of the other maps. Which leads us to the last Infinite Warfare Zombies map, which is Beast from Beyond. It had a really cool boss fight for, in that case, I gotta put it in okay. Right after these two, actually, because these two maps were kind of shit compared to it. But Beast from Beyond brought us the Mephistopheles Easter egg, which everybody loves that boss fight. However, the map itself, with all these extinction characters and creatures, I had to leave it out. But Beast from Beyond, again, it's the sad tragedy of zombies in Spaceland's characters and Infinite Warfare Zombies in general. So, next up, we have Sledgehammer Games, last but not least. So, we have the Advanced Warfare Exo Zombies that we're going to start with. So, first up, we have Outbreak. Outbreak, to be honest, was decent. Playing Advanced Warfare Zombies, I thought it was kind of going somewhere with this new futuristic movement. A little too far, they took it, but Zombies was very interesting at first to me. It had a very interesting story. The trailers drove me in, and I got the first DLC, and it was kind of not what I expected at all. Which is us next to Burger Town, which is actually called Outbreak as well, but nobody ever calls it that. They call it Outbreak, and it is garbage, because this map locks you out of the map if you don't do these challenges last part of the Easter egg, which is kind of a pain in the ass. So it's unplayable unless you're going for these challenges, which is part of the Easter egg. Which leads us next to Carrier, which, again, Exo Zombies, you guys tried it, but Carrier is one of the better maps from Exo Zombies. However, it just doesn't serve the purpose you'd expect it to, because it's Exo Zombies, and again, it wasn't that great. This character seemed really compelling up until we got the map Descent, and then it kind of all went downhill from there. The story was interesting and great. They finished it off great. Oz was the infected virus, and they had to kill him and destroy the boss Oz in order to end the whole thing, but it started to bring me in until it eventually didn't. So next up, we have the Final Reich from Call of Duty World War II Zombies. I gotta put the Final Reich in decent. I actually enjoyed the Final Reich. The story was going places with World War II Zombies. Poor Sledgehammer Games and their inability to make zombies, sadly. The Final Reich introduced us to 4 interesting new characters with a very interesting story that seems like it was unfolding with all these new Tesla gun wonder weapons and the bosses and the really difficult, and the fact that you had 2 ways that you could do the Easter egg in this one, easy or hard. One actually being the game ending Easter egg, which is the hard one, and then the easier one, which is just getting the journal, and the hard one actually bringing you to the boss fight it is a very interesting map by itself. I can actually go back, and out of all the World War II Zombies maps, I can only play the Final Reich. Which leads us to the Darkest Shore, which I gotta put in... Okay, it was an okay Zombies map. This is where the downfall of World War II Zombies started to come, but it still had time for revival. It just didn't. Which leads us next to... I can't even remember the names of the other two maps. Hold on. I know Frozen Dawn and the other one. I just can't remember which one came first. Torture Path and Frozen Dawn. That's it. So we have next up the Tortured Path, which was... I can't even begin to describe this one. I'm going to put it in bad. This map fell under the same category as every World War II Zombies. If you're not Treyarch, basically, rip to your zombies, because you guys tried, but the thing is, the story kind of didn't go places, and the fact that these Easter eggs were literally impossible, all these challenges you expected us to do, and the game was broken the whole time. Which leads us next to the Tortured Path, which I'm going to put in bad as well. Supposedly the end of World War II Zombies, and the story didn't get any better from there. Oh wait, this is the Frozen Dawn, which means that I fucked up one of them. That's the Tortured Path, and this is the... Either way, all of the World War II Zombies maps fall on their bad, and the Final Reich only being the decent one. Next up, we have Der Enfant from Call of Duty Vanguard Zombies, and y'all already know it's gonna go in garbage right next to Terra Maledicta. I played these two maps all of once and already gave up and wanted to scratch my eyes out. I'm sorry, Call of Duty Vanguard, but there's no reviving you. Not multiplayer, and not zombies. And that is why we already got the reveal trailers for Modern Warfare 2, because nobody in the history of ever is interested in Vanguard anymore. And that'll be it for me. So, without further ado, I hope you all enjoyed this stream. I will see y'all later. Peace out.